I'm Claire. Today, I'm going to explain to you Stuart Hall's theory of media encoding and decoding, how it applies to video games, and demonstrate this with two lovely examples, Doki Doki Literature Club and Slay the Princess. Stuart Hall's theory of media encoding/decoding is one of the most vital, foundational theories in relation to any medium of communication and expression. The rough idea of the model was originally conceived by Claude E. Shannon in his 1948 work, A Mathematical Theory of Communication, as a technical diagram demonstrating how signals are transmitted. The diagram displayed a direct line of communication to a singular recipient. By 1950, communication scholars adapted the model to explain how messages are conveyed to large audiences with their meaning intact, switching the focus from the technological ability to relay information to the socio-political ability to relay intention to others. Stuart Hall elaborated on this, defining three types of decoded meaning: the dominant, intended by the creator; the negotiated, a mix between creator intent and audience's own interpretation; and the oppositional, in direct defiance of the creator's intent. Everything has a meaning, even if that meaning is, paradoxically, that it is supposed to have no meaning. Words and imagery carry connotations that differ from culture to culture, and can develop entirely new ones as society evolves and new phenomena emerge. Two words or pictures can be literally similar, but the decision to use one over the other can convey very different intent.
There's no such thing in the world as absolute reality.
Every second of every day, we are interpreting meaning so deeply ingrained within our worldviews that it registers simply as reality. Being given a rose is a romantic gesture, being given a daisy is not. But they're both flowers, right? Media not only takes advantage of this second language we all speak, but has its own medium-specific ones, such as film language and literary devices. Games are no exception. Though it's often been debated by the masses, for a long time, the nuances of games encoding and decoding was boiled down to everything possible to do within the game is endorsed by it, and the audience is in agreement with this by playing the game. This is largely due to the interactivity, the ability for players to engage with the messaging of the narrative by acting on it within the digital space, as well as internalizing it. The nuance that's left out by this perspective is how the game then responds. How are those actions framed by the narrative? Games as an interactive medium are in constant communication with the audience, as they rely on active player participation to progress. They must successfully convey what is needed of the player, of course, but also engage the player enough for them to feel that need in kind. If the goal of the game is to win, the game has to make you believe that winning is good and desirable, or make the goal something that you are already taught to believe is good and desirable by society. The reputation of Dan Salvato's 2017 visual novel Doki Doki Literature Club, which I'll be shortening to Doki Doki, precedes it. When the game is spoken of, its place in internet culture/history often takes precedent over the actual narrative and its meaning. It was one of those cute games that's actually a horror game games that young fans begged unsuspecting YouTubers to suffer through for their amusement. It's been treated as shock content, and isolated clips of people freaking out over certain scenes garner millions of views. Black Tabby Games' 2023 visual novel Slay the Princess, on the other hand, wears its deception on its sleeve. A bit paradoxical at first consideration, but really, it's playing into the phenomenon represented by Doki Doki Literature Club's viral success. It wants you to know it's more than it seems, and for you to challenge its facade, because it's not interested in shocking you so much as it is examining what motivates you to engage with a narrative you know is lying to you. Both games rely on the dominant encoding and decoding of the games that precede them in order to deconstruct the worldviews that have been tacitly pushed within the genre since its inception. Doki Doki is often cynically labelled as a satire of dating simulators, but little regard is given for what about those games it's satirizing and why. This is a symptom of the fact that most people who played it were unfamiliar with the dating sim genre, with Doki Doki being their introduction to it. Really unlucky for a game that's built on subverting tropes with a long, storied history, how they're encoded and decoded, and for what purpose. To be clear, the purpose of a dating simulator is dating. From a cast of characters, you're able to romance your desired one, and that's that. they're not taken seriously by the general public. It's sort of seen as pathetic or creepy to seek romantic fulfillment from a game, maybe even emasculating as it implies you're not able to get girls in real life. Those gender terms are not an oversight from me. The genre is very heteronormative. However, like the more homosocially acceptable sources of masculine catharsis, i.e. Call of Duty, they're power fantasies at their core. And here is where we hit Doki Doki's target: consent as the obstacle. In a dating sim, no is indeed the worst your crush can say to you, because it's game over. Dr. Stobbart's paper, On Video Games, Representing Narrative in an Interactive Medium, she says, the ability to save a video game at any point also changed the way players view death, rendering death a minor inconvenience, rather than a significant setback in the narrative and ludic process of the game, with no consequences other than frustration. If we replace death with rejection, the dating simulator's equivalent fail state, questions can be raised about the dangers of indulging in a fantasy where power is found not in surpassing one's own boundaries, but the boundaries of others. Players are encouraged to manipulate characters and orchestrate events in a manner that will bring about their desired results, violating their love interest's autonomy to create the perfect route in which the relationship happens. The horror of Doki Doki is that after the non-romanceable tutorial character, Monica, becomes sentient and falls for you, she violates your autonomy and consent through these same means. Overwriting saves, forcing your hand on dialogue options, and intervening in the developing relationships between you and the other love interests. It feels wrong, but why? It's violating the promise made to you by games that sell themselves as dating sims. This is supposed to be a world in which you get whatever girl you want, even if she wouldn't really like you. That's the encoded message, and the decoding, that you're entitled to love no matter what, is as comforting to some as it is disturbing when plainly laid out to others. Ironically, some players have decoded Doki Doki that way in defiance of its message, believing that saving the girls from themselves is the most romantic thing to do, projecting this desire for love onto characters they believe must want it fulfilled just as they do. After Doki Doki's viral success, its cute then scary style was jumped on by every aspiring developer with a basic understanding of Renpai, but none truly interfaced with its message like Slay the Princess did. Slay the Princess is a game that shifts narratively based on your perception of it. My first run of the game, I saw its coy marketing and decided I would not slay the princess because that's not very nice, but was still curious about why she was treated as dangerous. I've played these subversive games before, and wasn't sure what angle Slay the Princess was taking. So I interrogated her thoroughly, asking her trivial personal questions, and trying to show that I had her best interests at heart. She was very sweet and innocent until I exhausted every dialogue option. Suddenly, she became threatening, her face contorting into something new and grim. The princess changes to match how the player perceives her, and through my relentless questioning, I'd shown that I thought she was dangerous. The princess's transformations play into various tropes, from the manic pixie dream girl, to the woman scorned, to damsel in distress, to a dominatrix. Faced with the encoding their behaviour corresponded to, the player is made to reflect on their decoding of the game's premise and the princess's behaviour. This is perhaps most striking in the route that's most like a traditional dating sim. It shows you a princess who literally begins to deconstruct physically when asked for her own thoughts. "I just want to make you happy," she'll reply over and over and over until you either accept that answer or she ceases to exist. I mean, whoever said she wanted to be saved? You just saw a princess and assumed, because of years of seeing stories about princesses being saved, that she wanted it. If you doubt this, the belief system that forms her very existence, she falls apart. Within the larger genre deconstruction these examples do, there are a million smaller ones around coding related to gender and sexuality. As I alluded to earlier, romance games are generally heteronormative. The Doki Doki girls and the princess are women that you aim to win as a male protagonist. Their attraction to men is simply a given, and their attraction to you is only a matter of time if you push hard enough, a message society sells to men again and again. Additionally, perhaps these games do better when selling themselves as not dating sims because of the stigma around dating sims and the implications of seeking out a social power fantasy as a man. It's very trendy in the West specifically to make dating sims as an April Fool's joke, playing on the absurdity of desiring fictional romance. Do people justify indulging in something with such an embarrassing message by negotiating that their participation in it is only ironic? Is that a healthy way to engage with art? But I'll leave you to ponder that, because my time is rapidly coming to an end. I'm Claire, this has been Stuart Hall's theory of encoding and decoding applied to video games, and thank you so much for watching.